The biting wind of March 1943 swept through the pine forests of Lower Silesia, 100 miles southeast of Berlin. It is a prisoner of war camp. It was a fortress of German ingenuity, a meticulously engineered cage designed with one singular, chilling purpose: to render escape an absolute impossibility. The architects of the Third Reich had considered every variable. Barracks stood precariously on stilts, offering an unobstructed view for guards beneath. The very ground itself was an enemy. Its sandy yellow composition meant that any excavated tunneling. Deep beneath the perimeter, a network of seismograph microphones lay buried, their silent vigilance tuned to the faintest tremor of a spade. Adding to this technological web were the ferrets, professional escape hunters who patrolled the compound with an unnerving, predatory instinct. They probed with metal rods, crawled under huts, and pressed their ears to walls, their presence a constant, suffocating pressure. By early 1943, the camp had already crushed 97 desperate bids for freedom, its reputation as an unbreachable stronghold firmly cemented. Yet, within the confines of one of these very huts, on a morning still heavy with the chill of winter, a South African RAF squadron leader named Roger Bushell convened the senior officers of the X organization. This clandestine committee, the camp's secret escape apparatus, listened in stunned silence as Bushell unveiled a plan so audacious it seemed to defy the very laws of physics and human endurance. His proposal did not call for a single furtive tunnel, but three, each to be dug simultaneously, a subterranean labyrinth of unprecedented scale. The objective was not merely for a handful of men to vanish into the night. Bushell envisioned a mass exodus, 200 Allied airmen breaching the wire in a single coordinated surge. Such an event, he argued, would unleash a disruption so profound it would compel the entire German home front to divert soldiers, police, and vital resources away from the active war zones, crippling their efforts on the battlefield. What Bushell laid out that morning was less an escape plan and more a blueprint for an industrial revolution, a logistical marvel executed entirely underground. It was a manufacturing operation, a secret factory powered by stolen tools and improvised materials, all constructed by prisoners working beneath the very noses of the Third Reich's most vigilant guards. This was the story of 600 Allied prisoners who built a hidden complex, pushing the boundaries of human will, and came within 20 feet of securing freedom for 200 men. To truly grasp the unique challenge of Stalag Luft 3, one must first understand the specific, calculated engineering decisions that defined its very existence. Established in March 1942 near the town of Sagan, now Zagan, Poland, the camp was conceived not merely as a detention facility, but as an active counter-escape mechanism. German intelligence had meticulously analyzed the failures of their previous camps, integrating every hard-won lesson into the design of Stalag Luft 3. The most formidable feature, the silent guardian of the camp, was the soil itself. The site had been chosen with chilling precision, its underground geology almost uniquely hostile to the very act of tunneling. It was a deliberate, strategic choice, ensuring that the ground beneath their feet was as much a prison as the barbed wire above. The Earth's surface here was a uniform, unassuming dark grey sand. It offered easy passage, yielding softly underfoot, a deceptive normalcy that belied the calculated trap beneath. For precisely 30 feet below that benign layer, the soil underwent a startling metamorphosis. It shifted, without warning, to a vivid, almost luminous bright yellow. This was no subtle variation. It was a color so stark, so unmistakable, that any tunnel excavated at that critical depth would yield spoil impossible to conceal. A mere handful of that brilliant yellow sand dumped anywhere near the surface would betray its origin, flagging the German ferrets within minutes. The barracks themselves were architectural statements of deliberate impediment, raised approximately 60 centimeters off the ground on sturdy concrete stilts. This design served a dual, insidious purpose. It granted guards unhindered access to crawl beneath, meticulously inspecting for any nascent tunnel entrances at any given moment. Simultaneously, it ruthlessly eliminated the natural starting point that a ground-level floor would have otherwise provided for a downward dig, forcing any escape attempt to begin from an exposed, elevated position. Around the camp's entire perimeter, buried seismograph microphones lay in wait. Theoretically, these instruments were sensitive enough to detect the faintest vibration of digging, even at considerable depth. Any tunnel, therefore, would need to plunge deeper still, descending at least 30 feet to fall below the detection threshold of these silent sentinels, all while originating from within a building perched precariously on stilts. The engineering challenge was monumental, bordering on the impossible. The camp's security personnel were far from amateur wardens. The ferrets, German soldiers specifically tasked with the relentless pursuit of escapees, were a breed apart. They were experienced, their suspicion honed to a razor's edge, their movements unpredictable. They could materialize in any hut, at any moment, without so much as a knock. Their hands carried long metal probes, which they drove with chilling precision into floorboards and walls, relentlessly searching for hollow spaces, for the telltale echoes of a hidden void. They spoke English, their ears pressed against windows, listening for whispered plans, for any deviation in the mundane rhythms of captivity. They studied prisoner behavior with a chilling intensity, dissecting routines, searching for patterns that might suggest concealment, a hidden purpose, a flicker of defiance. By the time Roger Bushell arrived at Stalag Luft 3 in late 1942, the camp had already established a fearsome reputation, having thwarted 97 escape attempts. It had been conceived and constructed by minds that understood, with chilling clarity, precisely what Allied airmen would attempt, and it had been built with an unyielding resolve to stop them. Every design choice, every security measure, every grain of that revealing yellow sand was a testament to its creator's foresight. Yet there was one threat it had not been designed to counter, a scale of operations so audacious, so unprecedented, that it had never been conceived. No one had ever attempted a full industrial-scale operation running simultaneously across an entire compound, a hidden factory floor beneath the earth. Roger Bushell was no typical Royal Air Force officer. Born in South Africa in 1910, he had pursued law at Cambridge, even skiing for the university team. By all accounts, he possessed a natural charisma and an intellectual, formidable presence that commanded attention in any room he entered. His military career had been marked by both gallantry and defiance. Shot down on patrol near Calais while providing cover for the Dunkirk evacuation in May of 1940, Bushell had already escaped captivity not once, but twice. His audacity had earned him a stark, chilling warning from German authorities. Any further escape attempt would result in his immediate execution. He was a man who understood the stakes, a man who had stared into the abyss of capture and refused to blink. He had taken this warning not as a deterrent, but as a gauntlet thrown, a direct challenge to his formidable will. His blueprint for what would become the very heart of the X organization was startling in its simplicity, yet revolutionary in its scope. He envisioned the entire escape endeavor not as a collection of desperate individual acts, but as a singular, meticulously coordinated industrial enterprise. Every single prisoner confined within the compound walls would be assigned a specific, vital task. Each department, a cog in this intricate machine, would be overseen by a dedicated head. These leaders, in turn, would report directly to Bushell, the enigmatic figure known only as Big X, through a tightly woven cell structure. This ingenious design ensured that no single individual prisoner possessed enough knowledge of the grand operation's entirety to compromise it, should they be captured and subjected to the brutal rigors of interrogation. The departments Bushell meticulously established stand as a testament to the sheer depth of his strategic foresight. revealing just how comprehensively he had dissected and countered every conceivable obstacle. The tunnel engineering department, the very arteries of their audacious plan, was entrusted to Wally Flutie. A Canadian pilot by trade, Flutie carried with him an invaluable, visceral understanding of the Earth itself. Before the war had consumed the world, he had toiled for years as a hard rock miner in the unforgiving gold mines of northern Ontario. His hands, calloused and strong, had moved countless tons of rock and debris from active mine faces deep beneath the surface. He possessed an intuitive grasp of soil mechanics, the critical intricacies of structural integrity, the life-sustaining science of ventilation, and the raw, practical mechanics of underground construction. Knowledge gleaned not from textbooks, but from the relentless, dangerous work itself. Flutie personally designed all 3 tunnels, overseeing their arduous construction with an unwavering gaze. He would crawl through the claustrophobic confines, a living barometer of their progress, solving structural dilemmas as they materialized, often in the suffocating darkness, far from the watchful eyes of their captors. The forgery department, a clandestine workshop internally christened Dean and Dawson, a sly nod to a well-known British travel agency, was commanded by Flight Lieutenant Tim Wallen. His team of master forgers embarked on a painstaking mission to produce every single document an escaper would desperately need once they breached the wire and stepped into the hostile world beyond. German identity cards, travel passes, military leave papers, civilian work permits, each a meticulously crafted passport to a fragile, fleeting freedom. Many of these crucial documents demanded up to a full month of dedicated, nerve-wracking labor to bring to flawless fruition. The forgers obtained authentic German exemplars through daring acts of bribery or stealthy theft from unsuspecting guards. These genuine documents then served as templates, painstakingly reproduced by hand with an extraordinary, almost miraculous precision. At its zenith, the Dean and Dawson operation was simultaneously churning out forged documents for a staggering 200 planned escapers, a testament to its industrial scale and the relentless pressure under which they toiled. The mapping department, the navigators of their improbable journeys, was led by Flight Lieutenant Des Plunkett. His team meticulously produced hand-drawn copies of railway maps, intricate road maps, and detailed regional maps encompassing every conceivable escape route from their grim prison at Sagan to the elusive sanctuary of neutral territory, Sweden, Spain, and Switzerland. To replicate these vital cartographic guides at the required scale, Plunkett, a true innovator born of necessity, engineered a miniatograph. This ingenious, hand-operated duplicating machine was fashioned entirely from scavenged materials collected and repurposed from within the confines of the camp itself, a testament to their boundless resourcefulness. The tailoring department, responsible for the very disguises that would allow them to melt into the enemy landscape, was run by Tommy Guest. His team took genuine German military uniforms, plundered or bartered, and began the intricate process of transforming them. They would meticulously alter them, removing telltale insignia, resewing seams, and crafting them into believable civilian attire, or even the uniforms of different, less suspicious branches of the German military. Every stitch was a calculated deception, every alteration a step towards blending in, towards becoming invisible. From the drab confines of captivity, a remarkable transformation began. RAF flying suits, once symbols of aerial combat, and the ordinary uniforms of imprisonment were meticulously reimagined. Blankets, stripped of their original purpose, were resurrected, their fibers soaking in improvised dyes. Boot polish, meticulously scraped and dissolved, along with other clandestine materials, yielded a palette of colors previously unimaginable within the sterile confines of the camp. These were not mere alterations, they were alchemical transformations, turning prison issue into convincing civilian attire, sharp business suits, and rugged workmen's outfits. The craftsmanship was breathtaking, a testament to desperation and skill. Multiple escapees, dressed in these meticulously fabricated disguises, navigated the scrutiny of German police on bustling railway platforms, their fabricated identities holding firm under the most intense visual inspection. This intricate ballet of deception was orchestrated by the manufacturing department, a clandestine workshop led by a Rhodesian officer named Johnny Travis. His team didn't just sew, they forged the very instruments of freedom. Compasses, essential for navigation beyond the wire, emerged from fragments of broken Bakelite gramophone records. Melted, then painstakingly reshaped, these brittle shards became sturdy casings. Their needles, slivers of magnetized razor blades, were honed with an almost surgical precision. Each tiny compass, a beacon of hope, bore a defiant inscription on its underside. Made in Stalag Luft 3, patent pending. A subtle, audacious jab at their captors. Beyond navigation, the department was a veritable arsenal of innovation, producing digging tools, makeshift lamps, and every piece of hardware demanded by the relentless tunnel engineering team. The entire operation hinged on absolute secrecy, a fragile veil maintained by the security department, codenamed Big S. Under the command of an American officer, Lieutenant Colonel Albert Clark, this network of prisoner lookouts became the eyes and ears of the camp. Their mission, to meticulously track every German guard, every ferret, the camp's plainclothes Gestapo and security personnel, at every waking moment during working hours. These watchers, known as stooges, operated with a complex, almost balletic system of signals. A flick of a towel, a specific cough, a seemingly casual adjustment of a cap, each gesture carried urgent meaning, instantly warning the underground departments the moment a ferret entered a hut or shifted their patrol route. This system was refined to an astonishing degree. The forgers, working on crucial documents, could conceal an entire active session, transforming their workspace back to an appearance of mundane normality, all in under 60 seconds. A heartbeat of frantic activity, then stillness. The sheer scale of the undertaking was staggering. More than 600 prisoners, a small army of hope, were directly involved in supporting the operation. Most of them would never even glimpse a tunnel entrance, their roles vital yet unseen, their contributions woven into the very fabric of the escape. The 3 tunnels, born of this collective will, were christened Tom, Dick, and Harry. The names, deliberately mundane, served a dual purpose: simplicity and subterfuge. Ordinary English names, casually dropped in conversation, attracted far less suspicion than any coded designation. All 3 tunnels began simultaneously in the spring of 1943. Each burrowed outwards from a different hut within the north compound, each charting its own course in a distinct direction, aiming for the distant tree line beyond the formidable perimeter wire. The engineering problems were immense, a monumental struggle against the very earth itself. The tunnels demanded a depth of at least 30 feet. This wasn't arbitrary. It was a calculated necessity, designed to evade both the sensitive seismograph microphones and the insidious detection probes wielded by the ferrets on the ground above. They had to be structurally sound enough to withstand the passage of thousands of crawling bodies, day after day, week after week, over months of relentless use. A single collapse could mean catastrophe, burying men alive in their desperate pursuit of freedom. Delivering breathable air to a working face potentially 300 feet from the entrance shaft was a constant, life-threatening challenge. The air grew stale, thick with dust and the smell of fear, demanding ingenious, hand-cranked ventilation systems. The oppressive darkness of the earth demanded light, however dim. Makeshift lamps, often fueled by scavenged grease, illuminated the claustrophobic confines, allowing the diggers to see their work, to avoid the ever-present danger of collapse. Then, the earth itself presented its most formidable challenge: sand disposal. Every cubic foot excavated from the tunnel's maw had to vanish without a trace. This was not merely moving dirt, it was orchestrating a geological disappearing act, a relentless battle against visible evidence. Imagine the sheer volume, the constant flow of earth, hauled back to the entrance, then cunningly dispersed across the camp. Ingenious systems were devised. Sand was carried in canvas bags, hidden beneath trousers, and released through discreet openings as prisoners walked, seemingly aimlessly, through the compound. It was scattered in gardens, tucked into the crawl spaces beneath huts, even hidden in the attics. A silent, granular betrayer that, if discovered, would instantly expose their monumental secret. Each grain, a potential death knell for their dreams of freedom, had to be meticulously hidden, blended into the mundane landscape, lest a telltale mound betray their audacity. The challenge was monumental: to excavate a tunnel hundreds of feet long, not with heavy machinery, but by human hand through unforgiving earth. Every ounce of soil had to be moved without the aid of power tools, without structural steel, without any professional building materials whatsoever. The very notion defied logic, yet within the confines of a prisoner of war camp, it became an urgent, desperate reality. Flutty's team, a clandestine collective of engineers and laborers, conceived solutions that were nothing short of brilliant, given the crushing constraints. The tunnels themselves were designed with a precise cross-section, exactly 2 feet square. This seemingly arbitrary dimension was, in fact, a stroke of genius, dictated by the exact width of a standard wooden bedboard. These humble planks, liberated from the prisoners' bunks, became the very backbone of their subterranean world. The shoring, vital for preventing catastrophic collapses, was constructed entirely from these stolen bedboards. Each plank stripped from a bunk left a man sleeping on the barest minimum of support. Sometimes as few as 2 or 3 boards remained per bunk. It was a silent, collective sacrifice, a constant physical reminder of the audacious project unfolding beneath their feet. Across all 3 tunnels, an astonishing 4,000 bedboards were eventually requisitioned for this perilous purpose, their absence a testament to the unwavering resolve of the men who endured the discomfort without a single complaint. Survival beneath the earth demanded breathable air, a problem that had doomed countless escape attempts before. Flutty's team ingeniously repurposed the cylindrical tins from Red Cross powdered milk parcels. Each tin was meticulously pierced with holes and then joined end to end, forming a continuous, flexible pipe that snaked the entire length of the tunnel just beneath the floor. At the entrance, a makeshift bellows pump, cobbled together from a kit bag frame, discarded hockey sticks, and even ping-pong paddles, forced fresh air down this improvised conduit to the working face. The system was crude, a testament to desperation, yet it functioned with enough reliability to permit continuous digging shifts, preventing the deadly oxygen depletion that had suffocated previous hopes of freedom. Illumination, another critical necessity, presented its own set of dangers. The team daringly tapped into the camp's own electrical supply, a high-stakes act of sabotage. A fragile string of small bulbs, powered by the very electricity that lit their captors' lives, ran the length of each tunnel, casting just enough light for the arduous work. The constant threat of discovery loomed. When German guards conducted their routine electrical inspections, these illicit connections vanished behind cleverly constructed false panels, a silent game of cat and mouse played out in the shadows. Moving tons of excavated earth through a 2-foot tunnel required a transport system of extraordinary efficiency. Their answer was a miniature railway. Wooden trolleys, simple, flat platforms mounted on wooden wheels, ran on rails painstakingly fashioned from more bedboard timber. At the working face, diggers loaded the excavated sand onto these trolleys. A man positioned at a junction point near the entrance would then haul the loaded trolley back by rope, a rhythmic, exhausting ballet of human effort. This rudimentary system proved remarkably effective, allowing a single working shift to move hundreds of pounds of sand from the deepest reaches of the tunnel to the entrance shaft within an hour. Yet the most visible and perilous challenge remained: the disposal of the excavated sand. This was the operation's Achilles heel, a constant existential threat. The earth unearthed from beneath the camp was a distinctive bright yellow, a stark contrast to the dull grey surface soil. To dump it anywhere visible would be to instantly betray the entire undertaking, revealing the audacious tunneling effort underway and condemning every man involved. The sand, a symbol of their progress, was also the greatest risk to their very lives. Every grain had to vanish without a trace, a monumental task that demanded ceaseless ingenuity and a chillingly precise choreography of deception, for the success of their desperate gamble hinged entirely on their ability to make the earth itself disappear. The very earth beneath their feet betrayed them. Each shovelful of soil unearthed from the secret tunnels posed an existential threat, a telltale sign that could doom the entire operation. German guards, known as ferrets, prowled the camp, their eyes trained to spot any discoloration, any mound of alien earth that didn't belong. The problem was immense. Where to hide the tons of sandy yellow subsoil being excavated from the tunnels? The solution, born of desperation and audacious ingenuity, arrived in the form of the penguins. More than 200 prisoners, officers all, volunteered for this perilous duty, designated as sand dispersal specialists. Their mission: to make the earth disappear, one pocketful at a time. Each man was equipped with a specially crafted carrying device, bags meticulously sewn from the long underwear issued by the camp, suspended from cords around their necks and cunningly concealed within their trouser legs. Imagine the scene. A man, slightly bulkier than usual, his legs stiff, walks out into the open compound. He might be strolling casually, perhaps tending a small, pathetic garden patch, or engaged in an animated conversation with a fellow prisoner, his voice carefully modulated to betray no hint of the immense risk he carried. Inside his trousers, the bag, filled with the telltale yellow sand, slowly empties through a small, open bottom. A release cord, a simple string running up through his pocket, allowed him to control the flow, a silent, almost imperceptible trickle. Each step, each seemingly innocent movement, contributed to the grand deception, scattering the evidence across the vast, open spaces of Stalag Luft 3. He would return, often several times a day, to collect his next load, the cycle repeating, hour after hour, day after day. Over the months of relentless construction, this extraordinary system, relying on the quiet courage of hundreds, moved an estimated 166 tons of yellow sand into the camp's surface areas. It was a monumental feat of clandestine engineering, executed right under the noses of their captors, without the Germans ever discovering a single tunnel. Yet, even the penguins had their limits. Some quantities of sand were too vast, too risky to disperse in plain sight. For these, another ingenious hiding place was devised, beneath the camp's theatre. This building stood unique among the hastily concrete foundation. The irony was profound. Prisoners themselves had contributed their forced labor to its construction, a condition imposed by their captors. The understanding was clear. The theatre was for entertainment, not for escape. But the men of Stalag Luft 3 were masters of interpretation. Internal legal advice, a testament to their unwavering spirit and sharp minds, concluded that this restriction applied only to the process of building. Once completed, the structure itself was fair game. And so the sand, tons of it, vanished into the dark, silent space beneath the stage, a secret audience to every performance. Despite such meticulous planning and audacious execution, the relentless cat-and-mouse game continued. In September 1943, the German ferrets finally struck a blow. Tunnel Tom, the 98th tunnel discovered in the camp's history, was found. Its loss was a significant setback, a painful reminder of their constant vulnerability, but it was not catastrophic. The spirit of escape remained unbroken. The vast, intricate operation simply consolidated its resources, its hopes, and its manpower onto the remaining, more promising conduit, Tunnel Harry. By March 1944, after months of grueling, dangerous labor, Tunnel Harry was finally complete. It was a masterpiece of clandestine engineering, a testament to human will. Stretching an astonishing 336 feet, its entrance was ingeniously concealed beneath a stove in Hut 104. Its projected exit point, meticulously calculated by the camp's surveyors, lay well within the protective embrace of the tree line, just beyond the perimeter wire of the forest. The night of March 24 was chosen with precision. It was moonless, a blanket of absolute darkness offering the best chance of unseen movement. The next such night would not arrive for another month, a delay that Group Captain Roger Bushell, the mastermind behind the entire operation, judged unacceptable. The window of opportunity was now. 200 prisoners, each burning with the desperate hope of freedom, had been assigned numbers, meticulously determining their order of exit. The first 30, the spearhead of the escape, represented the strongest candidates. Fluent German speakers, equipped with meticulously forged document sets, authentic-looking civilian clothing, and even train tickets for the initial legs of their perilous journeys. The remaining 100, they emerged into the unforgiving night. Their chances were slimmer, their preparations less complete, but their resolve was no less fierce. The air was thick with anticipation, a palpable blend of terror and exhilaration. Then, the moment arrived. Flight Lieutenant Johnny Bull, the first man through, pushed open the exit shaft. A rush of cold night air, and then a crushing realization. The tunnel, a marvel of engineering, had stopped a devastating 20 feet short of the sanctuary of the tree line. The exit hole, instead of being hidden in the dense undergrowth, lay exposed on open ground, starkly visible from the regular patrol path of the German guards. A single miscalculation, a surveyor's error, had turned triumph into potential disaster. The meticulously planned escape now hung by a thread, teetering on the precipice of discovery. A collective gasp, a silent wave of despair rippled through the men waiting below. Yet, in that moment of profound crisis, a decision was made, one born of desperate courage and an unyielding commitment to freedom. They would continue. There was no turning back. Within moments, a rope was rigged, hastily stretching from the exposed tunnel exit to the nearest trees, a fragile lifeline across the moonless expanse, a silent testament to the unwavering human spirit that refused to be confined, even by the earth itself. The escape, against all odds, was on. Deep in the earth, a desperate signal. A man, pressed against the rough-hewn wall of a suffocating tunnel, would feel the subtle tension on a hidden rope. A quiet double tug, a silent promise, confirming the guard had passed. This was the cue. The next escaper, heart pounding against his ribs, would launch himself into the frigid night. Each signal bought precious minutes, a fragile buffer between life and recapture, yet it also drastically limited the number who could vanish before the first hint of dawn. By 4:45 in the morning, the illusion shattered. A German guard, patrolling the perimeter, stumbled. His boot caught, not on uneven ground, but on a cleverly disguised opening in the earth. A sudden, sharp sound. A shot ripped through the stillness. The tunnel, painstakingly excavated, was irrevocably compromised. 76 men, against impossible odds, had clawed their way to a fleeting taste of freedom. 76 souls, each carrying a flicker of hope into the vast, hostile landscape of wartime Europe. But the joy was short-lived for most. Within 2 weeks, 73 of those men were rounded up, their dreams of escape crushed under the weight of an overwhelming manhunt. Only 3 made it to genuine safety. 2 courageous Norwegians, navigating treacherous routes and evading countless patrols, eventually reached Sweden by ship, finding sanctuary in a neutral land. A single Dutchman, with extraordinary resilience and cunning, traversed the length of France and Spain, a journey spanning hundreds of miles, ultimately arriving in the British territory of Gibraltar. Their success, a testament to individual fortitude, stood in stark contrast to the grim fate awaiting their comrades. News of the mass escape reached Adolf Hitler, igniting a volcanic fury. His immediate, chilling order: the execution of all 76 recaptured airmen. Only the intervention of Hermann Göring, who managed to persuade the Führer to temper his rage, prevented an even greater atrocity. The number was reduced, but the decree remained horrific. 50 men were arbitrarily selected from the 73. They were transported not to a prison, but to remote, desolate locations scattered across the vast German countryside. There, under the cover of darkness or in isolated clearings, they were systematically murdered by the Gestapo. Each man met his end with a bullet to the back of the head, a brutal, summary execution. Their official records, a cynical fabrication, would state they were killed while attempting to escape. Roger Buchel, one of the 50, was shot on the Autobahn outside Ramstein on March 29, 1944. He was 33 years old. By the conventional metrics of escape, measuring success solely by the number of men who reached neutral territory, the Great Escape was a catastrophic failure. 76 men risked everything, only for 50 of them to be summarily executed. Yet, this narrow interpretation misses the profound strategic genius at the heart of the operation. Roger Buchel's true objective, the driving force behind the entire audacious plan, was never primarily to send men home. His goal was to inflict maximum disruption upon the German war machine. By that measure, the results were nothing short of significant. The German response was a sprawling, panicked mobilization. Police forces, Gestapo units, regular army divisions, and even local Home Guard detachments were thrown into a nationwide dragnet. It became one of the largest domestic manhunts of the entire war, a monumental diversion of precious resources at a critical juncture. Germany was fighting on 2 fronts simultaneously, stretched thin and desperate. Every man, every vehicle, every hour spent chasing phantom airmen was an hour, a vehicle, a man, pulled away from the brutal reality of the eastern and western fronts. Roadblocks choked highways across the country. Border crossings, already heavily guarded, were locked down with unprecedented intensity. The search effort siphoned off experienced, highly trained personnel from duties directly vital to the German war effort, creating gaps and inefficiencies where none could be afforded. But the deeper, more astonishing achievement lay not in the immediate aftermath, but in the clandestine manufacturing operation itself. For roughly 1 year, the X organization, a secret society of captured airmen, transformed a prisoner of war camp into an industrial-scale factory of defiance. They produced 250 complete sets of impeccably forged travel documents, each one a masterpiece of illicit artistry, capable of fooling trained border guards. 50 civilian outfits were tailored, transforming military uniforms into plausible disguises. 90 intricate, hand-drawn maps detailing dozens of potential escape routes across a hostile continent were meticulously crafted. 30 compasses, ingeniously fashioned from scavenged materials, provided crucial navigation, and, most remarkably, they engineered enough tools and equipment to construct 336 feet of precisely built underground tunnel. Every single item was manufactured within the confines of a heavily guarded prison camp, directly beneath the unsuspecting noses of professional escape hunters. They used nothing but the most rudimentary, often stolen resources. Red Cross tins repurposed, bedboards transformed, gramophone records melted and reshaped, stolen wire twisted into tools. This extraordinary feat was made possible by the collective expertise of 600 captured airmen, men who, despite their imprisonment, steadfastly refused to consider themselves out of the war. The Germans eventually found Tom, the exit tunnel. But the true spirit of Dick, the tunnel that was never discovered, the spirit of relentless ingenuity and unwavering defiance, remained forever beyond their grasp. It was a victory measured not in bodies, but in the chaos sown, the resources diverted, and the enduring testament to the human spirit's refusal to be broken. The tunnel entrances were masterpieces of concealment, so meticulously crafted that even German officers, armed with precise intelligence, standing directly above the trapdoor, could not discern its presence. For months, the secret remained buried, a silent promise beneath the earth. They never found Harry until the very night it was unleashed. The Great Escape lives in memory as a testament to raw courage, and indeed it was. 50 men paid the ultimate price, a fact whose gravity never diminishes, whose weight presses down through history. Yet beneath that defiant courage lay another, equally profound story. One of the most sophisticated, improvised manufacturing operations ever conceived and executed under the most brutal constraints imaginable. This was the X organization, a clandestine network that systematically dismantled every engineering challenge the Germans had painstakingly designed into Stalag Luft 3. The advanced seismograph microphones, meant to detect the faintest tremor of digging, were rendered useless by tunnels driven deep enough into the earth, far beyond the reach of their sensitive sensors. The telltale sandy soil, distinct from the dark topsoil, was ingeniously managed by the penguins, who distributed hundreds of tons of it, grain by grain, beneath their trousers, scattering it imperceptibly across the compound. Even the barracks themselves, raised on stilts to prevent tunneling, were outsmarted. The escapees burrowed not beneath, but through the solid concrete foundations of the chimneys, transforming an obstacle into an entry point. And the ferrets, the German guards specifically tasked with sniffing out escape attempts, were outmaneuvered by a sophisticated network of stooges, a human radar tracking their movements minute by minute, ensuring a mere 60-second window for concealment, a heartbeat of desperate precision. Every single solution, every tool, every piece of equipment was forged from first principles, from the most meager available materials. These were not career engineers or master craftsmen. These were men whose professional lives had revolved around the sky, flying aircraft. Yet, in the crucible of captivity, they became precisely what the operation demanded. Wally Flutie, once a humble miner, transformed into a subterranean architect, mapping the Earth's unseen currents. Tim Wallen, a commercial artist, became a master forger, his delicate hand creating passports and uniforms with chilling authenticity, and a cartographer rendering escape routes with painstaking detail. Des Plunkett, a civil engineer, became the ultimate improviser, turning scrap metal into vital machinery. Johnny Travis, a businessman, orchestrated the logistics, managing resources, personnel, and production with the efficiency of a wartime factory. Each man, driven by an unyielding will, transcended his former identity, building an entire secret industry beneath the very noses of their captors. The profound lesson embodied by the X organization, that a sufficiently motivated collective, armed with the right organizational structure, can overcome almost any engineering dilemma, regardless of apparent resource limitations, has resonated far beyond the confines of a prison camp. It has become a foundational case study, meticulously analyzed in business schools, military academies, and operations research programs across the globe for decades. 600 men, driven by a singular purpose. 3 tunnels, each a monument to human defiance. 166 tons of sand vanished without a trace. 50 men murdered, their sacrifice etched into history. 3 men, against all odds, tasted freedom. And beneath a quiet pine forest in Poland, a clandestine factory of ingenuity hummed, Its existence a profound enigma that the Germans never truly grasped until the war itself was already irrevocably lost. Its secrets, ditto.